evening, friends. How are we? Hey, welcome. So I forgot to turn the microphone on, so the first thing they hear is Barry. Well done, mate. You've gone famous for that one. Good evening and welcome to Little... Oh, hello. Someone else. Come on in. There's just enough space. Come on in. Welcome, everyone. Hey. How you doing? Fabulous. Good evening and welcome to Littleport Christian Spiritualists, this wonderful, warm, sunny, bright and uplifting Thursday evening as we join together, of course, to demonstrate that life is eternal, that love is everything that matters, and that we can come together as one, sometimes quite literally, come together as one under the world of spirit. And of course, every week we do this, we have a different face that comes and joins us here, that becomes part of the family over time. And today is absolutely no exception, because it gives me absolutely great pleasure in welcoming our medium for this evening. Give her a proper raucous Littleport welcome, Tracy Bidwell! And I know we're in good hands tonight, and we look so much forward to your demonstration. But of course, we've got notices, we've got philosophy, we've got healing, we've got loads to do, as always. But let's not forget that the first thing we do is open this evening in short prayer. As we say, Great Spirit, Father, Mother, God, we thank you for the opportunity to come together as friends, to witness your proof and your truth that life is indeed eternal. As we open this service tonight, we ask for the angels of light and your inspirers and helpers to come and support the guides and helpers and the work of Tracy, to bring forward the loved ones of all of those here present, and to send healing and help to all those that have recently gone to the world of spirit, to all those that have recently been left behind, and to help the world see that life truly does go on in one form or another. And so as we place this service in your care and keeping, we make the statement as ever, that everything we do is in the name of love, in the name of truth, and in the name of light. Amen. Well, friends, notices. You'll excuse, and I make no apology, for a quick, shameless bit of self-promotion. If you'd like to download a guided meditation from the likes of Amazon and Spotify, you can see the website for details. Finally, I got there. They made me look a mug because I said the 23rd of last month. It's now the 6th or 7th that it actually came out of the following month. But we can't have everything. But what we can have is a bit of patience. And finally, it happens. So if you're interested, come and see me afterwards. That said, we have the workshop this coming Sunday. It is £15. Lunch will be provided. We'll have a right old uplifting time and some spiritual content too, and lunch. So we've got that coming this Sunday in this hall from 11 till 4. And then, of course, the following week, which I'm sure we'll hear more about, we have got the White Feather Drummers, because I'm not allowed to call them anything else anymore. But we have the White Feather Drummers the following week, once again, in this hall from 10 till 1. Did I get it right? That's called a miracle. See, that's the problem with people like us. We talk about miracles, but we rarely do anything about them. But today we did. We got a miracle. Nick remembered the time. You don't have to expect much, but it don't help. And of course, there was a wonderful outing Sunday last, which I'm sure Reverend Alan, when he comes on with his reading, will tell us all about as well. It's at this time in our service when I usually say a few words. And usually I would find something that I have been inspired by throughout the week. There's usually a theme. There's usually a build-up. There's usually a drum roll. I don't know whether you find this, Tracy, but when you're getting ready to do an inspired address, they keep throwing things at you left, right, and centre, and it screams, talk about this. And this week has been very obvious in a numerous different functions and forms, but none more so than when I was watching a TV show that I quite like, and there was a quote that made a lot of sense. But I'll come to that, of course. One of the things that we talk about in all religious and faithful ways of life, and in particular in spiritualism, and quite frankly, in this church, is forgiveness. And it can be quite a bone of contention. It can be either something really difficult to achieve, it can be something that's harshly oppressed by that particular religious organization when it comes to principles that are created within the realm of forgiveness, like what are the crimes that require forgiving and who gets to forgive it. And that's a can of worms that I am not going to open tonight. You'll be glad to know. But one of the things that we know about forgiveness is where it begins. And it has to begin within. And that is one of the first things that our Reverend Alan, who will be on shortly, has always said, and it's nothing that I've not heard before, because he says it to me quite frequently when we're talking of such matters. But there's more to it than that, because there always is. I was watching something earlier, and it was mentioned about Yom Kippur, which is a Judaic festival. Now, it's all about asking for forgiveness from God. And everyone would be, well, you know, here we go with the religious tenets and all of that. You know, you've got to ask for forgiveness from sins. Why should I? Blah, 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 blah. But what people don't talk about very often is the day before. Evra Yom Kippur. On that day, you have to ask forgiveness from the people around you. In other words, you can't ask for forgiveness from God until you've asked for forgiveness from everyone around you. You can't achieve divine salvation unless you've done something about it here. We call that personal responsibility. And there are many different ways of explaining that tenet and that rule. But we do know that forgiveness has to begin in one's own heart. To forgive ourselves for things that we really have no reason to accuse ourselves of. But then if we have done something, we can't expect it to be washed away by divine rote and intent. We must do something about it. But rule number one, we have to mean it. We know in our hearts whether we are being genuinely sorry for the mistakes we've made. And it's up to us to answer that question. But one thing that this way of life and some other ways of life completely differ on is the price of not admitting fault and asking forgiveness. Because in spiritualism, we don't threaten with eternal flames. We just say, it will come. Because in this way of life, we aren't about eternal punishment. We aren't about lectures. We aren't about being in charge. We aren't about controlling and manipulating people. We're about just getting together and having a good time. And if we trip along the way, we pick each other up. If we stumble, we grab each other by the collar. And that end, why should we be afraid of any kind of retribution? We talk about such things all the time in religious ways of life, but what we don't talk about is the person who punishes us the most. This one. We are the ones who punish ourselves. And as I look around the hall at the many pairs of beaming eyes looking back at me, I can see absolutely a knowing of that the one person who makes you suffer the most, the one person who gives you the hardest time, is you. So let me say this. I not only agree with the Jewish tradition on sneezing over the Christian one, because I think God agreeing with you is much better than, oh dear, you've got the plague, because that's basically the tradition's meanings. I also agree with the day before, because before we ask for forgiveness from any divine entity, we must ask forgiveness from the people around us. And that includes ourselves. Forgiveness begins in the heart and spreads to the hearts of others. And sometimes we have to forgive ourselves for thinking we need forgiveness. Because sometimes we give ourselves too much of a hard time on the things we have done in our lives. So go easy on yourselves and each other. Live your lives sprightly and uplifted. Dance with joy and laughter in the sunshine and give yourselves a blooming break. Because I tell you this much, when forgiveness is required, you'll know it. And I know, looking at the hearts of everyone here, it will always be given, because forgiveness is a divine gift, and we are all divine at our core. So maybe that's why people need to forgive first, before some far and distant celestial being. Because we are the universe made manifest. We are the stars, the planets, the moons, and the nebulas, all turned into these living, thinking, neurotic beings. So if a star can keep on turning for billions of years, I know that each and every one of us can keep on walking forwards for at least 100. So keep walking, keep talking, and go easy on yourselves and each other. God bless you all, and thank you for listening. And so now, let's see if Reverend Alan's got anything similar going on with his friends and helpers. I'll have to swap glasses so I can actually see the screen. Bear with me. As we say those magic words, and you'll have to help me. After 3, 1, 2, 3. Reverend Alan, are you there?
Certainly am, Nick. Certainly am. Good evening, Littleport. Good evening, everybody online, and to all those that will watch at a later date. Tonight's reading is completely off theme for me. It's by Jamie Sams, and it's a prayer about Mother Earth. Earth Mother, teach me of my kin, of hawk and dove and flower, of blinding sunlight shading all, desert wind and morning showers. Teach me every language of the creatures that sing to me, that I may count the cadence of infinite lessons in harmony. Teach me how to honor the sacred spaces of all, gently melding with the whole, answering the whippoorwill's call. Steamy tropics to glacial ice, to thundering oceans and tides. In every grain of desert sands, your beauty forever abides. O Mother of every kingdom, let me claim my family's love, from the whales of the deepest oceans to the winged ones high above. Expand my limited vision until I can truly know the missions of my relations and the blessings they bestow. Thank you.
Thank you. Lovely. I wondered why they made me go on about human beings made of star stuff, and there we go. There's the tie-in. We'll have that one. So how have you been, Alan?
I've been good. Very busy since I got home from the weekend. We're a very busy weekend, as you well know, at the Star project. We had half a dozen of our drummers there, and it was good to be drumming with different people, seeing different stuff going on. There was sound gongs and bars and all sorts of sounds, sound healing that was going on, different stuff going on, Reiki, etc., going on in the teepees. It truly was a wonderful event.
Brilliant.
And it was great to drum round the fire pit, which is a totally different experience, which is so good. And of course, this Saturday and Sunday, but I am not going to advertise the Sunday too much because of your own event. But we have the All Nations Powwow at the Anglian Motel on the A17.
Yes.
So I will be attending that and picking up my new drum.
Yes, we've seen pictures of your hairy drum.
Yes, it's just something else, that.
Here we go, blooper reel or what? No, seriously, I did see the picture the other day, and it does look amazing. Yes, he did say drum, Barry. Thank you. It just looks amazing. For anyone who doesn't know what a drum with fur on it, don't make it any better, I know. For anyone who doesn't know what the sound of a furry drum sounds like, here we go. We've all lost it now. It's like having the softener, a muffler in a trumpet, and the difference on sound it makes, isn't it, Alan? Please help me out here.
Absolutely, yeah. But the most important thing with it is the actual vibration. The vibration is much stronger.
Yes.
So although you're toning the sound down, you're actually raising the vibration of the drum.
Well, there's more bits to vibrate, isn't there?
And that's what's so important from a healing perspective.
Absolutely. That's brilliant, mate. Well, we look forward to seeing it being used in the hall in a couple of weeks' time.
Sure will.
And before everyone completely falls apart in the hall, we will say a big thank you for your reading and your chat. Ladies and gentlemen, Reverend Alan! Bless you. And we have had a couple of comments. Stop digging, and Alan, let him keep digging. There we go. Well, why not? Laughter is not, after all, about upliftment and healing. Funnily enough, that's what's next. It is a drum, and it is hairy. I can't help it. So we are now going to hand over to Tony for the healing section of our service. And all those that would like healing, put your hand up. And all of the healers that wish to give healing, prepare yourselves, because Tony's going to give you instructions.
Thank you.
Over to you.
As Nick said, if you want some healing, put your hand up. If you're prepared to heal somebody, look for where there's a hand up and go with them.
I'll be coming round once.
Okay. But before we do all that, just a few words, just to put us where we should be. Where groups of like-minded people such as us are formed, they will grow. And as they grow, love, compassion, and the gift of healing will also grow. And where one gives healing, healing is present and will grow exponentially. So where many gather to give and receive the healing and the power that is healing, Great Spirit, we ask for all those who need it to receive it, and for all those who can give it, please give it now. Thank you, healers, and thank those of you that asked.
And thank you, Tony. Well done, everyone. And thank you, as Tony said, and thank you to Tony, of course. Really does change the dynamic of the moment, healing. I love the impact it has. It's just a shame it can't fix me remembering which glasses to wear. But as we said, some miracles are a little bit unattainable. Well, friends, now is the time in our service where I am about to hand over the evening to the wonderful Tracy, who is going to look after us for around about the next 40 minutes or so. I will give you a 10-minute warning. I'll try not to disturb and interfere with you. But should Tracy come to you, please answer in a clear voice, yes, no, or don't know, because let's face it, we're all nosy. And should the curtains start twitching and the chairs start sliding along the floor, I'll be the first one out, follow me, because we don't do that yet. But most importantly, have a wonderful, uplifting evening. But for now, please give a proper Littleport welcome to our medium this evening and keep it going whilst I plug her in. Give it up for Tracy Bidwell. There we go, my dear. Over to you.
Good evening, everyone. It's lovely to see so many of you here this evening. And thank you so much for making me feel welcome. Okay, so let's see who we've got with us today. Okay, as I was sitting down, I felt the energy of a lady, and I've heard something being shouted. I heard sister being shouted. So this seems to be relevant to this lady. With this lady, I feel that she was, I do feel that towards the end of her life, she got very short of breath. She found it difficult to be mobile, but she never gave up. This lady was a fighter. I feel with her also, she's about 5'2" in height. I feel that she was medium build. And I also feel, like I said, she was a lady who was very positive right up until the end. Can anyone take any of this information? Sister is relevant. Whether she's a sister or she has a sister, I do feel this is really relevant to her. Can anyone take that at all? No, of a sister in the world of spirit. Okay. As I work with this lady and her energy gets stronger, I do feel throughout her life, she worked very, very hard. And it wasn't just one job she had 2 or 3 jobs. And I do feel with this lady, each job she had, she gave it 100%. I also feel with this lady, Linda, I do feel that I am drawn to you. Well, I'm just thinking it could be my mum's sister. Okay, may I work with you and we'll see where it goes. But as I looked up, I got this pulling towards you. I obviously know you, I don't know loads about you. But I do feel that this lady, that she was a very positive lady, even through what she went through towards the end of her life, she remained positive and she fought for her life. Does that make sense to you? Okay. I also feel with her as well that she was a lady who tried to walk upright but found it difficult. So whether there was something that stopped her from standing upright, I don't know. But she says, I can do that now. And she's almost making me stand upright as well. I also feel with her as well that she had quite a big family around her. So I'm not saying immediate, I know I've mentioned sister, but I do feel that there was quite a lot of family around her. And a lot of that family is in the world of spirit. Because I feel there's quite a crowd that have come in with her. Okay. She's also showing me a memory link of a beach hut as being relevant as well. Can you take that? Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm also feeling with this lady as well. She's taken me now to a house. And this house is, I think there's 2 or 3 in a row. And she's taken me to the middle house as a memory. And this house would be something that would be in a photograph. So whether or not you remember it, I don't know. But she's taken me to this house, and as you go through the door, you walk straight in to the front room or lounge. I'm not sure what wording. You sort of like walk straight in, and the stairs are on the left-hand side. Okay, well, hold on to that, because if I don't say it, she'll just keep repeating it. But this house is relevant to her. Okay? I'm also feeling with her as well. She's shown me quite a few flashbacks and sort of family parties that used to take place, and they used to get a little bit rowdy. I do feel with this lady, she really liked a good party, and she'd like to have a family around her, and she really made the most of it. Although she would be the one that hosted it, she'd make sure she would still get involved with all the party goings on. Okay. She's also saying to me that she was somebody who used to sing as well or hum as she went about her daily life. It was something she was always doing, and she found comfort in that. She said, I just felt that just helped me get through the day. Okay. She's also bringing forward, I think it's a sewing box, and when it opens up into layers. Does that make sense? I've not seen one before, but you just like open it and it looks like different layers. She's also, for some reason, showing me a newspaper as being relevant, a newspaper that either her or her husband would have read. Always the same paper. Would that make sense? I think so. It was something, it was routine to read this particular paper. I can't see what the title on it is, but it was just routine. And I do feel that he's here as well. Okay, but he's not stepping forward. This lady wants to remain in charge. What she's saying to me is that she's been around you recently. There's been quite a lot of activity around you recently, and you've felt this, haven't you? It's almost as though it's not just that feeling, you're actually feeling movement around you. Would that make sense? There's a lot of movement going on, and it's almost as though this movement is wanting to get you moving as well. Okay. But she's also taken me to August, the middle of August. Not gone, but coming up. So there's something going to be happening in the middle of August that's going to be almost like a get-together. Okay? She's also saying to me that, I'm hearing laughter. It's coming from somebody else behind me. So I'm hearing laughter as well. So I'm just been interrupted in my flow. Okay. She's also saying that you need to keep going forward. You keep stopping and hanging around. She said, but you need to have that continuous movement going forward. Does that make sense? It's almost as though you're really striding forward, you stop, and then you start sort of like shuffling back a little bit, which is to be expected. But she knows that there's lots that you want to do. And the way you're going to achieve that is by taking those steps forward. Okay. And it's almost as though she wants to take your hand and lead you. Okay. And she said, we're also going to get you dancing as well. So there's going to be at some point in the future, you will find yourself having a little bit of a jig. But all I'm feeling is love and laughter behind me. No other energies are actually stepping forward, but I do feel this laughter and this warmth and this love and this compassion that's coming from the world of spirit. And this movement that's going on around you is that movement of hope and movement of going forward. Okay, so I'm just going to leave lots of love with you, and thank you so much for working with me. Thank you. Well, okay, I've got a gentleman that's jumped into my energy, literally jumped in. I do feel with this gentleman, I'm looking up, so I do feel he's about 6 foot tall. I feel with this gentleman as well that he was very opinionated, bless him. And I do feel that with this gentleman, he was a real character as well. He was an individual, as he put it. I also feel with this gentleman that he had a passion for cars. I know we were talking about cars earlier on, but this gentleman loved looking at old cars. I'm not saying he got involved with any repairs or anything like that, but he did like having a look at a good classic car. I also feel with this gentleman a pressure on his chest. I do feel that was part of his condition when he passed. I also feel with him as well, there was also a sadness as well. A sadness, not that he managed to mask it. It wasn't seen by everyone. Can anyone take this gentleman at all? Okay. I also feel with this gentleman, okay, I'm getting dad, but I'm getting uncle as well. Okay. I'm also feeling with him as well. I do feel drawn to you. Your name's Tony, isn't it? I do feel drawn to you with this gentleman. Okay. I'm also feeling with him that he did keep himself fit by going for walks in nature. I do feel when he could, but I do feel that this man was very busy. And I do feel with this gentleman as well, he worked a lot, so his family didn't always see him. And I do feel with that, he has some regret. Does this make sense at all?
Yeah, to a certain extent, yes.
Okay. I also feel with him as well that, like I said, he was a hard worker, and sometimes he had a bit of tunnel vision, so it wasn't always able to see what was going on around him or perceive that. He wasn't in tune. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I also feel there's some sort of, I don't know if there was some sort of distance between you and him, some sort of unspoken distance. Okay. But I do feel this gentleman does come in with a lot of strength. And this strength for him to come here this evening has been given out by you. So that's enabled him to step forward. Okay. I'm also feeling he's taken me to the month of November as being significant, whether it's an anniversary or a birthday or something. It's taken me to like the middle of November, sort of around the 17th, 18th, around that period of time. Yeah, it's quite definite that it's like right in the middle of November as being significant. Okay. And something else that I'm seeing that's quite strange is a red balloon. An image of a red balloon. I'm not actually seeing a red balloon, but I'm seeing an image of a red balloon. Okay, so hold. Okay. It's almost as though it was one of those that have been released, but I'm not actually seeing the physical balloon, but it's about it being released, something being released. Okay. Okay. I'm also feeling an energy of a small dog around my legs as well. Would you have a dog in the world of spirit?
Yes, but not small.
It's sort of like this.
Yeah.
I had a Rottweiler, so she was big. So to me, a small dog sort of like this sort of size, yeah? I could just feel him around here. Okay. Okay, so this gentleman is also showing me a metal box with handles on. Does that make sense? It does. Okay, just as a bit of evidence. Okay. I don't really know a lot about you. I see you each time I come here, but I don't know a lot about you. But this gentleman is showing me quite a wide pathway in front of you. I'm not sure, it's sort of like the pathway here is, because normally it gets smaller when it goes into the distance, but what he's showing me is it's getting wider and wider. It's almost as though it's encompassing quite a lot. Okay, so this is it's just showing me this image of this pathway just opening up. Because normally when you look into distance, it gets smaller. But this isn't, it's getting bigger. Okay. Okay. I also feel with this gentleman as well. He's quite disciplined as well with himself and those around him. And I do feel that was his nature that people saw. Yep. Okay. Again, going back to you, he keeps going back to you, and he wants to stress how important you are to him and how he lives on through you, but it's almost as though you've changed the version he was to be a more rounded person. Okay, does that make sense? I have no idea what he's talking about, but I'm just trying to get his words out for you. Okay. He wants me to leave you with a wigwam. Okay. I have he's literally just shown me this huge wigwam. Mm-hmm. So he wants me to leave that with you. Okay. And he said, I stand beside you. And he just gives you all the best. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. I now feel the energy of another gentleman. I do feel with this gentleman that he was somebody who had loads and loads of energy, bouncy energy. I do feel that this gentleman was almost as though he couldn't stand still or sit still, and he was always fidgeting. I also feel with this gentleman as well that he feels he went too soon. He feels that he was still young when he passed. As I see him in his 50s, 60s. I feel this gentleman felt he had lots to do, but now he realizes his work is on the other side. I also feel with this gentleman as well that he had a lot of affection from those around him, not just as a family man, but I do feel as somebody in the community. I also feel with him as well, I feel like he's got big hands. I mean, I know this sounds strange, but I actually can feel my hands have grown, and I do feel my hands are quite big. And that would have been something noticeable about this gentleman. Can anyone take this description at all? Take any of it? Okay. I also feel with him as well, I do feel there's a roughness on his face. So I feel that his facial hair would grow quite fast. And he always seemed to be trying to keep that under control. Okay, what else have we got? I do feel this gentleman lived in a rural setting. I also feel with him that the river wasn't far away. I also feel with this gentleman a great sense of pride for his family. Okay. Can anyone not take any of this information? He's definitely with one of you guys here, and I'm just trying to think who it might be. Can you take him?
Well, I think one thing,
Yeah, but why wouldn't I know it's him?
because he's a swine.
Okay. So would you take the hands? The big hands? Okay. Okay, right. Okay. Let me just speak to him. Okay. I've got March as being significant. Would that be right? All right. It's my dad's birthday in March as well. Okay. All right. Okay. That was quite sneaky. Making me work. Okay. All right. So I'm not sure who. I think actually I'm going to you. There's something that you need to be aware of, he said. I'm seeing quite a small, dark room, and it's almost as though I can see you sitting in there. I'm not sure what you're doing in there. Would that make sense? Okay. And then someone comes in and turns the light on, and you're just smiling. Would that make sense? I have no idea what he's talking about. Okay. All right. Another thing I'm being shown as well is quite a big set of ladders. And it's almost as though he's put a sign round it saying, do not use, even though there's nothing wrong with them.
I'm in trouble. It's the only way of accessing the roof of the garage.
I know, I've just got this finger going. Okay. That's the showing me. I'm hearing some music as well. And I know you've been talking about drums, but it's not from the drums. It almost sounds like a flute. Flute music. Would that make sense to you as well? Okay. Cool, there's a band going on in my head here. Okay. Another thing he's saying is, do not forget about the lady that helped you when you were younger. She may need some support. Don't forget to get in contact with her. Okay. And Linda, he said, get them paints out. And he says, where's the chocolate biscuits? Okay, no. And it wasn't actually him that said that. There's somebody else with him that shouted that out. Where's the chocolate biscuits? Okay. I'm just going to leave his love with you guys and all his randomness. And he's got me again, hasn't he?
He does like the
Okay. Right, come on, go away. Okay. I now got a lady come into my energy, and this lady is a very gentle lady. I do feel that this lady is mother or grandmother. I do feel with this lady that when she was on the earth plane, she could be quite quiet, but when she had an opinion, she most definitely said it. I also feel with this lady as well that she was quite strong. She was quite small, short, but she was strong, strong-minded, strong as in strength. And also, I feel drawn to you, actually, because what I see in her is the same sort of eyes and the nose. So I do feel that this lady is connected with you. May I work with you? Just need more water. That's okay. Just gonna walk over this side, Barry. May I work with you? Is this your mother or grandmother? Grandmother. I also feel with her as well that your personality is very similar to hers. You will take so much, but you will give your opinion. Yeah. I also feel with her as well that, like I said, she had a lot of strength. Would that make sense to you? So she had quite a lot of physical strength, and I think it's because she had to. She didn't have a choice. There was lots of things she had to do for herself. Does that make sense? Okay. I also feel with her as well that she takes me back quite a while. What am I seeing? I'm seeing quite a wooded area, so an area with lots of trees. Whether it was somewhere that she would have visited or she would have taken you, but I do feel that this is significant in your childhood. Would that make sense at all? It wasn't like a massive forest, but it was like a wooded area that would have been walked around or visited. She's just given me that as a memory link. Okay? I also feel with her as well that she's talking about two. So whether it's two children or two grandchildren, she's mentioning two children in particular. Would that make sense to you at all? Okay. I also feel with her as well that this lady she was a very positive lady and a very down-to-earth lady. And she wasn't afraid to try new things. Even though things changed a lot within her lifetime, she was quite adaptable. Would that make sense to you? Yeah. Do you not know a lot about her?
Well, obviously I was only young then, so I don't really know exactly, but
Okay.
so far.
Okay. She's also shown me that photos have been looked at recently, whether they're by you or by other members of the family. So there would be photographs that would have been looked at. And there's one in particular where there's three ladies and there's one gentleman either side. Does that make sense? This is what she's showing me. Okay. She's also showing me that you've had a few tears recently. Okay, but you hide the tears, so these tears are not seen. And Spirit have been around you and helping you and supporting you, and they're trying to give you that boost you need. But what they are saying is you will come to a point where that sadness will turn into smiles again, and it's knowing how to be resilient to what's happening around you and to those that may affect you. Does that make sense? And they are with you every step of the way. And like when the healing was coming round, I actually see the colour green around you. I don't normally see colours, but it was like a lime green. So I see that lime green all the way around you. So I'm not sure of the significance of that to the healers that are here, but there was a green around you. And that makes sense now from what she is saying. I'm also seeing that a holiday is coming up as well. It may not have been thought of at the moment, but there is going to be a holiday that you'll have the opportunity to go on. Okay, but I'm looking at the end of September around that time. Okay. Oh, she's showing me. She's also showing me a round table. So this would be in your house or hers or mum's. I'm not sure, but she's showing me quite a round table, and there's a vase always in the middle of this table. Does that make sense to you at all? She's shown me it as a memory, so it would either be somewhere you would have visited or someone close to you always has this vase on the table. Would that make sense? Okay. She's also showing me an empty book. So normally when spirits show me an empty book, it's because you need to get pen to paper and write things down. Have you ever thought about writing? Because a lot of people don't like the physical feel of writing, but it's almost as though she wants you to have a go. When you're having a quiet time, just see what comes, see what flows, because this might help with other things that are going on around you as well. And also, what she wants to tell you or advise is try to step back. When there's something negative coming towards you, just step back and let them carry on around you, and just step back into your own peace and your own self. I do feel this lady wants to give you a big hug as well, a much needed hug. And so just be strong. You've got that strength within you to go forward. These are just little bumps in the road, okay? It feels bad at the time, but if we can take a lesson from those bumps and go forward, then that's what we need to do. Okay, so take her love and take her respect. And she wants to leave you with a bunch of daffodils. I know there's not many around now, but these flowers are always uplifting to you because it's the time of year, the spring that comes. So I'll leave those with you. And thank you so much. Okay. Okay. Magic glass. May I come to you? I don't know why yet. I just got this hand pulled me towards you. I've got this lady that wants to come to talk to you, and I do feel with this lady that it's on your mother's side of the family. I feel... I'm not sure what the relationship is yet, but I know it's on your mother's side of the family. So let's work with the energy and see what happens. But I do feel with this lady, she was about 5'2". I do feel that her hair was very nicely cut. And I feel with this lady that she was a very confident lady, sometimes to the point where I was going to say she could be annoying, but she's saying that, not me. I also feel with this lady that she had a lot to say, and she was a great talker as well. I'm getting not your mum's generation, but beyond that. So I don't know if it's your mum's sister or aunt. That's the sort of relationship I feel this lady is. But she would have been someone that knew you quite well when you were small. Sorry? Okay. And I do feel there's quite a crowd here as well with her that have come in with her. Another thing that's come in with her is a horse. Would that make sense to you at all? I can't describe it. I could just hear it. You know when they snuffle in your ear? I can feel that, okay? And I'm also feeling with this lady that when she went to do stuff, when she walked around, she'd do it quite quickly. She found it quite difficult to slow down. Obviously, as she got older, she said, I was a lot slower. She said, but whilst I was in my prime, I was always rushing around. And she said, you're a bit like that. You're just like running in 3 directions all at once. She said, I don't quite know how you do it, but this is what you do. Is that correct? Would that be correct? Okay. She said, but there's nothing wrong in that. Because what you're doing things with a purpose, and you are being mindful of where you are. And this is through years of practice. Would that make sense? And it's almost as though now you know how important it is to be in the here and now. And she said she wants you to share that with others. And it's almost as though she's putting you in a teaching role. Would that make sense at all? Okay. And it's almost as though your experiences and the things that you've gone through, because you've been through quite a colourful life, she said, that is going to be a great benefit to others, because you'll have that empathy and you'll understand where they're coming from, and you can give them pointers in the right direction. Does that make sense? Okay. And it's almost as though I've got loads, you know, everyone used to clap for the NHS. All these behind me are clapping for you now because of the work you're doing and the work you're about to do. Okay. Another thing I'm seeing as well is loads of rainbows. I suddenly just see a whole load of rainbows. You know, you normally see one, but there's just loads of rainbows everywhere. So I'm to give them to you as well. Okay. They're also, for some reason, they're showing me a pair of flip-flops. A pair of flip-flops that went wrong. So would that be a memory? It's almost as though, you know, the bit came through. I don't know if you were wearing them or your mum or this lady. A pair of flip-flops had a malfunction. They're just showing me this as a memory. Hold on to that thought, because she's laughing and there's somebody behind her that's laughing as well. That might be the joke, I don't know. But she was talking about malfunction of flip-flops. So whether that meant... I can't wear them either. Okay. She also is saying to me, are you writing at the moment? Are you doing writings or drawings? Is someone around you doing it? Because I do feel somebody needs to be encouraged to do that. And that will help with whatever issue it is they have. And it's almost as though when you're with them next time, it will click with what I've said. And you'll say, try writing that down. Okay, so I'll leave that with you, because she's not saying too much more. Oh, before she goes, she's also leaving me with a necklace. The necklace comes sort of down here. I can't see what it is. It's some sort of patterned pendant of some sort. Okay. No, I don't feel it's a family jewellery. It's something that you would have seen, or it's something recent. I don't feel it's anything handed down. But it's almost like an oval pendant. It's got something in the middle, and then it's got a pattern around the outside. So it might be something that's coming. Obviously, that's not evidence. But I will leave that with you, because it's going to be significant for some reason. Whether somebody is going to come to you and they're going to be wearing it, it will trigger off. Okay, does that make sense? So I'm going to leave all these people's love and their claps, and they just want you to go forward on your journey, because it's now, it's your time. Okay, so I'll leave that with you. Thank you. Okay. May I come to you? Okay. I don't know why, but I feel drawn to you, and I do feel, as I looked at you, a gentleman stepped forward. I do feel this gentleman, I'm not sure of the relationship yet, but this gentleman I do feel was quite a tall gentleman. I do feel that he had dark hair, and he's shown me as a younger person. It's a bit random. Okay, so I do feel with this gentleman, when he passed, he would have been in his 60s, 70s, around that age. But for some reason, he wants me to see him and for me to describe him with dark brown hair. And it's got a bit of a wave in it. So whether there's a photo of him or something, I do feel he just says, I looked good then. And this is how he's come through. I also feel with this gentleman as well, he would be a very kind person, a very supportive person, and a good listener. I also feel that he had a lot of strength, inner strength, and he would have supported a family as well. Does that make sense to you? Yeah. Yep. Okay. As a memory, he's taken me back to, he's shown me a church as being significant. Whether it was in a village that he lived in, I'm not sure. But the church you can see, but it has an archway with a gate on it, so you'd go through that archway, and it had a small wall around it as well. Would that make sense to you at all? For some reason, it's significant to him. Okay, so it'd be a traditional church with a spire on it, and there'd be something on the top as well. But he's shown me it's almost as though he's standing across the road from it. So it would have been something he would have viewed, and something that would have been significant to the family. Okay? Just hold on to that. Okay. I'm also seeing a big body of water. So I do feel this gentleman either liked being by the sea or by water. Does that make sense to you too? Or is that you that likes to be by the water? Yeah, it's almost as though you can get that energy from that water. Yeah. Okay. And it's almost as though it doesn't matter if the weather's raining or what weather it is, you're quite happy to stand there and draw that energy from it. Does that make sense? Okay. I'm also being given the month of January the 18th as being significant around that time. Okay, so that could be a birthday or anniversary or passing. Another thing he's given me is a waking time. So this is when somebody wakes up in the morning, you look at the clock and think, oh no, it's such and such time. And he's given me 3 o'clock in the morning as be a waking time. Would that be for you or someone around you? So you'd wake up and you'd take a note of what it was on the clock and think, why am I awake at this time in the morning? Is that you? Okay. Don't worry about it. It will pass. It's almost as though because you're becoming more aware of what's going on around you, you're a bit more sensitive. So when spirit do come in and do some healing, because I do feel they're giving you healing at the moment, they're obviously coming a bit close. Yeah, that's disturbing you, but they'll stand a little bit back now. And it's almost as though it will pass, but it's going to take a few weeks, maybe a couple of months before it completely passes. Does that make sense? And it's also what he wants me to say is that he wants you to learn to be in the here and now, because your thoughts go in so many directions. We need to get focused just on the here and now. Yeah, this lady's perfected it. Maybe she'll be able to help you or guide you, but it's just enjoying being in the now. Yeah, and he said that's going to be really beneficial for you. It's going to help with all those thoughts that go crazy, because some days your head is just spinning, isn't it, from everything that's going on around you, and you need to protect yourself from that. Okay. He's also taking you by the hand, and that would have been something he would have done when he was on the earth plane. Does that make sense? He would have taken you by the hand and he would have walked beside you, not in front of you, but beside you. Okay. And he said, I will always be beside you to guide you and to support you. Okay. And he just wants to give you a massive hug, bear hug, and say he loves you loads. And thank you so much for working with me. Thank you. Am I done? Or do you want another one? So Barry. Cameraman.
Like this is where everybody slashes their wrists or something.
Oh, nice.
I know Barry from seeing him year after year, sitting in one of these seats. But Barry, I did have something come to me, and I was given a book to give to you, but I don't know what the book's about. All I can see is it's about this big, and it's got a bluish cover on the front of it with black writing, but I can't see clearly what it's called. But it's a book that you need to reread. Reread. You've got it somewhere, and I don't feel that you've read all the way through. I think you've picked bits, which is what I do, so I get that. But it's almost as though they're giving me chapter 3 as being quite significant. Okay, so chapter 3. It's about this big. It's not too thick, it's about that thick. So it's not War and Peace. It's got bluish cover. Okay. I do feel there's a gentleman with me. And I do feel this gentleman looks a lot like you. So I presume it's Dad. He said I had a little bit more hair than you did.
He always says that.
Okay.
He likes to say that.
And I also feel that this gentleman, he really did have a purpose. He felt whenever he did anything, he did it with purpose. No faffing around. He did it with purpose. And I also feel with this gentleman as well that he could be quite upset him with words.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
What he used.
Yeah. Wasn't all the time, but sometimes he felt it was necessary to just be blunt, because that's how sometimes you have to, well, in his opinion, not in my opinion, that's how you can get through to people. And it's almost as though he's making me really quite rigid and quite, sometimes he got quite uptight about things. Okay. But I do feel with this gentleman that he has progressed no end since going to the spirit world. And I do feel that his power that he's gained now is coming to help you and help you on your pathway as well. And it, like I said before to this lady, he's not going to walk in front or behind, he's going to walk beside you. And that's a really important thing for you to know, that he is beside you now. He's not in front of you, he's not behind, but he's beside you. Okay. I don't know why I'm seeing this, but I'm seeing a stick with a feather on the top. Would that make sense to you at all? It's about, the stick's about this long, and it's got some feathers on the top of it. I have no idea what it is. I've never seen one before. Yeah, hold on to that, because it just like went like that to me, and I've just got to hold it up to you, this stick with this feather on the top. Oh, he made it look, but that's what I'm seeing, a stick with a feather on. Okay. Okay. Another thing he's showing me is a bucket, a black bucket with metal bits and then a wooden handle. This is a memory. I don't know where it's come from, but I'm just seeing this black plastic bucket. It's got a metal handle with a wooden handle that can twiddle around. He's just shown me that. So I have no idea where the bucket's come from, but I need to tell that to you. Okay. Have you had a lot of movement in your house? Things, objects?
I think it's going to be seen, yeah.
Yeah. He's laughing.
Crystals.
Oh, right. He didn't say what it was, but he said things are moving to different places, is what he's saying. And then he said, oh, it's your memory. Okay. He just wants to leave his regards and his respect. And he's really proud. You've come a long way, he said. And the pathway you've got ahead of you it's going to be a good one. He said, I'm going to be, like I said, walk by your side. So take his love and his respect. And thank you so much for working with me. Thank you. Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tracy Bidwell. Oh, thank you, dear. You do though, don't you? It's nice and light. It looks quite heavy, but it's ever so light. Hello, everyone. Well, I'm sure we can all agree. A wonderful, truly evidential demonstration of mediumship. I'll tell you all about that later. And it's so nice to see you get a message, Barry, where it agrees with all of us. Louis. Oh, I'm sorry. But friends, thank you all for coming, and thank you so much for your continued support. We are going to be letting everyone go off and have their teas and coffees, because we're going to do that in a minute too. And obviously have the raffle, so get your raffle tickets ready. My mind has just gone completely blank because I was going to say something and I can't remember what it is. Do you just hate it when that happens? No, it's gone. Well, anyway, the good news is we're back next week with Greg Pettit. We've got the workshop on Sunday and lots of lovely things going on. So look forward to that. But again, from all of us here, a big thank you. Tracy Bidwell. Well, friends, it's time to say goodnight to everyone at home. I've got to be careful because I forgot the mouse this week, so I'm using the keypad, so it could easily go very wrong. But I'm getting myself ready and all set up. There we go. So to everyone at home, thank you for joining us. It's been quite a varied evening online. We've had Evelyn from the United States. Regan's been on from down Australia way. We've got cousin Edwina from Wales. Dawny down in Colchester. So it's been a global phenomenon tonight. So thank you to all of them. And of course, representing the Cleethorpes Massive himself, the lovely Reverend Alan. Sorry, all I can see is Tony giggling himself silly with that one, the Cleethorpes Massive. So thank you, of course, to Reverend Alan, and thank you to everyone at home. I've got to go back because I've got some comments coming in now, and I want to make sure I don't upset them. And of course, we mustn't forget the Bedford Massive. Jungle is massive. The Bedford Massive. Trace is still with us from start to finish. So good evening to you, Trace. She did very well in Circle on Wednesday, I've got to tell you. They all did, to be fair, and I know a few of you are watching as well. You've just gone very quiet. But I can see how many people are watching, so behave yourselves. But thank you all at home. We're going to say goodnight now, and I've got to reset the screen, haven't I? Here we go. And Mr. Golby, of course, we look forward to a time when you are not weighed down by 9 puppies and you can make it back on a Thursday night. Not that they are a weight at all, apart from when they're jumping on Reverend Barbara. There is... do you mind if I just very briefly tell you a really, really funny story? Thank you for reminding me, Daryl, right? The week before the puppies were born, Daryl brought the dog with him. Really, really well behaved. Really, really well behaved. Until one point, she turned around and looked at Reverend Barbara and jumped onto her lap and was sniffing her face. Roll on a few weeks later, the puppies are born, and there's a picture I'll show you after of one of the puppies doing exactly the same to Reverend Barbara, who was visiting. So she's taken after her mummy. But yes, good fun and good times. So thank you all, and thank you all at home. But from all of us here, after 3, 1, 2, 3, good night, and God bless you all. Stay safe, and we'll see you next week.